Half in the bag. Fuck movies.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Half in the Bag. I'm your host, Jay Bauman, and as you can see, Mike Stacklasa is actually on vacation this week. So joining me is a fellow VCR repairman. He's actually a freelance VCR repairman that's helped us on a number of jobs. This is Mike Spadewski.
Hi, I'm the other Mike, and I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, and we just saw the movie Super. Mike, what did you think of Super?
I thought it was very entertaining. I liked the movie.
Yeah, the thing I liked about the movie was the tone of it. It had a very sort of specific and kind of odd tone in that it felt like it was sort of pulling you in two different, completely contrasting emotional directions. There's a lot of scenes that are simultaneously funny, but also very sad. And I thought that was sort of unique and interesting.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You know what that movie reminded me of? It was kind of like a Kick-Ass. Did you see Kick-Ass? That's a good movie.
Yeah, they're both movies about a normal guy trying to be a superhero.
There are a lot of similarities between those two movies. I gotta say though about the costume in Super. You know, that you compare the costume in Super to costume like in Daredevil. Similar costume. They both had red masks on, and a superhero movie costume is it's a very important thing. When you see a superhero, it's the first thing that stands out is sort of a nice costume. And obviously, you see a movie like Spider-Man or Batman, and the studios paid a lot of attention to those costumes. And I don't understand how Super, a modern-day Hollywood movie, can just get that so wrong. I mean, that costume looked terrible.
Well, I think that was the point. It was a homemade costume. It was intentionally shoddy looking. It was supposed to look that way.
I guess. I just didn't think it looked very good.
Oh, fuck! Hello?
Mike, you have to come back from your vacation. When people tune into Half in the Bag, they want to see Mike Stacklasa and the other guy. They don't want to see the other guy and another other guy.
You're right. The fraud ratio has gone from 50% to 100%.
Yeah, the other Mike sucked. He was awful, so I shot him in the chest multiple times with a gun.
Oh my God. We've jumped the shark. Half in the Bag's gone downhill since episode 6. Hang on, I'll be right there.
Batarang, pipe bombs, utility belt. Green Arrow has a bow and arrow. Why do you need all those?
I'm making up my own superhero. He needs a weapon. That'll do.
Cool.
All it takes to be a superhero is the choice to fight evil.
Shut up, crime.
Super is the new film by James Gunn that stars Rainn Wilson and, I forgot her name already. Super is the new film by James Gunn that stars Rainn Wilson and Emma Page. Super is the new film by James Gunn which stars Rainn Wilson and Ellen Page as would-be superheroes. Rainn Wilson is a schlubby cook who turns himself into a superhero vigilante in order to save his wife, who's played by Liv Tyler, from certain doom in the clutches of the evil drug lord / pimp Kevin Bacon.
Don't touch my car again. I'm going. That's not the kind of touching I meant.
Jay, what did you think?
I loved this movie. I loved this movie a lot. I'm a fan of James Gunn. I really liked his last movie, Slither, a lot. I really liked Tromeo and Juliet, which was the first movie he wrote and essentially co-directed with Lloyd Kaufman back in his Troma days. And so I went into this movie expecting a lot of things that he's sort of become known for. I expected the movie to be sort of twisted.
I'm gonna jerk off in my hand and go swish it around in the punch bowl. I'll meet you upstairs in 5.
Very violent, sort of bizarre comedy.
Don't steal! Don't deal drugs! Don't molest kids!
What I was not expecting, and what sort of elevated it for me from just being merely entertaining to something that's really kind of stuck with me, is the sort of emotional core that it has. I was not expecting that. The movie is essentially a spiritual journey of self-discovery. That was not something that I would have expected from a movie where Rainn Wilson brains people with a pipe wrench.
Who do you think you're fooling? I just saw you. Wait.
I really liked Super as well. And you had mentioned that I should watch the movie Kick-Ass.
Oh, yeah. Didn't see that, did you?
Well, from what I've heard, that the Kick-Ass comic is more dark than the movie is.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Kick-Ass. I just watched it. It was a fun movie.
Kick-Ass is an entertaining movie, but on a very sort of superficial level.
Yeah.
And that's about it. It sort of, at a certain point, kind of becomes what it's sort of poking fun at,
Yeah.
the conventions of superhero stories.
Yeah. If you see Super before you see Kick-Ass like I did, Kick-Ass pales in comparison.
Yes.
Ta-da! How do I look?
That's inappropriate.
I was really surprised by Rainn Wilson. I was expecting it to be Dwight in a superhero costume. And it really is a pretty different character.
Yeah, and I was surprised by that. There were some really well acted moments by him.
Jock, he stole my wife. Can you arrest him?
Sometimes it's better just to accept these things.
And there's that one part where he's praying to God, and he's just like.
That was probably my favorite
And
scene
it's
in the
sort of
movie.
it connected because I don't know. It's sort of like a moment like we've all been in, you know,
Yeah.
where he's just like, I'm not funny. I'm not interesting. I'm there's nothing special about me.
Yeah.
Why am I who I am?
Well,
you know.
yeah.
And it was very sad.
Yeah, that
you
scene
know?
sort of epitomizes the tone of the whole movie in that he is very sincere and very sad, and it's depressing, but at the same time he's saying things like even starving African children have a better life than him because at least their parents love him. And it's like, it's horribly sad, but at the same time you're sort of laughing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the tone of the whole movie.
Frank.
I knew I was losing her.
And that was another thing too. It's like he's married to her. She plays a drug addict, a recovering drug addict who falls back into drugs, and she works in a strip club. And it's sort of like they're both very sad, lonely people, and it kind of makes sense that they would connect because of their loneliness.
There's a lot of comedies recently where they have the ugly, schlubby guy with the woman that's way too far out of his league. And this is one where it's sort of justified by the fact that she has just gotten off drugs. She's at a very sort of vulnerable place in her life, vulnerable moment in her life, and it makes sense that she would end up with a character like Rainn Wilson's.
Because if she was just like, you know, happy Liv Tyler character that worked in a mall or something,
Yeah.
it's like she wouldn't be with Rainn Wilson. He has to be deluded and demented, and she has to be deluded and demented for that relationship to work.
Yeah.
And that makes sense realistically, is that she found some comfort in him because he wasn't a sleazy pervert at the strip club, he wasn't a drug dealer, and she was, you know, she saw like an innocence in him.
Yeah.
Like a purity, and she kind of attached herself to that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it feels right.
You just sit here and wait for crime to happen?
That's right.
This is so boring!
What did you not like about Ellen Page in the movie?
I like her. I thought she did a good job. But it was that one element that, like Rainn Wilson, perfectly cast.
Yeah.
You know, Kevin Bacon,
I liked Kevin Bacon in this a lot too, actually.
well cast.
Yeah.
He's Kevin Bacon. You know, Liv Tyler was good. And then even the cook that works in the shop with them was good.
I wish that guy had more scenes because I liked him a lot.
Like he gave this like real natural like performance.
Yeah.
That was like, wow, you know, everyone in the film felt very natural and organic to the script, except
Yeah.
for Ellen Page. I was like, that girl doesn't work in a comic book store. You know, if she was cast by some like really kind of weird looking ugly girl who's very strange, I would have bought it.
Her character and her performance was what I thought was the funniest stuff in the movie. And there's a really great scene in the movie where she has just crushed somebody's legs with the front of her car. and she's only half in her superhero costume. She's just in like her bra, and she's outside of her car just jumping up and down and laughing at him with this like childlike giggle. And she just has such an enthusiasm. And to me, it felt it felt genuine. It didn't feel like forced, like she's trying to act crazy. I really liked her a lot.
The first couple of times when she was laughing, it felt phony.
Really?
Baloney.
I never felt that at all.
Well, you're wrong. It's kind of like Sexy Nerd Girl. I'm a big fan of Sexy Nerd Girl, especially her most recent video where she
buys dildos.
Where she goes dildo shopping. But Sexy Nerd Girl comes off to me as an actress playing a part. She doesn't really like all of those things, and when she says certain references, you know someone else wrote them. But when Ellen Page was talking about comic books with Rainn Wilson, it broke my suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
Like, she doesn't know what that is in real life.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing that didn't feel like kind of genuine. If I had to pick a flaw, it would be that.
Yeah. I guess because I liked her performance so much that didn't bother me at all.
In the movie, too, there was a lot of, like, kind of overt themes, but they weren't hitting you over the head. Nathan Fillion is in it.
Yes.
Who plays the Christ, the Jesus superhero character.
The inspiration for Rainn Wilson becoming a superhero in this movie is that he's watching this TV show called The Holy Avenger, which is sort of a takeoff on Bible Man with Willie Ames.
Right back at you, Fear Dude, with a little help from 1 John 4:18.
But there's a moment in the film where Rainn Wilson gets his superpowers, and obviously it's his delusional dream that the finger of God touches his brain. Kind of a disturbing scene where they take his brain off.
Oh, it's a wonderful scene.
And then, of course, they keep showing this TV show, and you know, there's this underlying theme that people can be deluded by religion or be pushed into violence by religious beliefs. On top of that, there's also the theme of glorification of violence.
Yes, yes.
And that takes a turn towards the end when you're laughing along with the violence, but then something very horrific happens that kind of makes you feel guilty about enjoying the glorification of violence later on in the film. But those two themes that were woven into the film were very obvious to me, but they weren't like, bong.
This movie felt like a superhero movie in the same way that Rocky feels like a boxing movie. It's less about boxing and more about a guy who is a boxer.
Oh, yeah.
The whole movie, it feels like him trying to save her is more for his own personal reasons.
Right. Like, he's ultimately, especially the scene when he beats the guy who cuts in line, he's being selfish.
Yes, yes.
He wants Liv Tyler back for himself.
But he's doing it with this delusion that what he's doing is more grand, but ultimately, deep down, he's doing it for himself.
You're not supposed to kill him!
I'm just learning. You have to teach me these things.
I recently watched Observe and Report. I enjoyed Observe and Report a lot, but it came out the same time as Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes.
And someone says, oh, you know, Seth Rogen in a wacky movie where he's a mall security guard, ha ha ha. And then they watch it and they're like, oh, you know, like it has a kind of a dark feel to it.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to this, is that someone who might have seen Kick-Ass would go in to watch Super and think, ha ha ha, you know, this is going to be just Rainn Wilson being goofy in a superhero costume. And it's a little heavier than that. So if you're looking for a film that makes some sort of commentary on the whole superhero genre idea, you know, what is a superhero, what is not a superhero, what are the boundaries of a superhero, all that sort of like philosophical BS. If you're looking for a movie that asks those questions and answers them well,
yes,
this movie succeeds by leaps and bounds
in
that territory. If you're looking for a funny movie where Rainn Wilson puts on a superhero costume and falls down and goes boom, you will not enjoy this movie.
Absolutely not.
So if you have most of a brain, you'll love this movie. Grandma will be horribly confused.
Yes.
And people that like Dane Cook will be horribly confused.
Yeah, I would recommend this movie to sort of a very specific audience. If you can handle violence that's a little more strong than something like Fast 5,
I'm sure Fast Five you can watch and go, yeah!
That's a prime example of when people talk about a shut your brain off and enjoy it movie. I'm sure it works on that level.
Yeah, but this movie at a certain point makes you feel bad about going, yeah! Beat that guy with a pipe wrench. And it makes you feel awkward and uncomfortable at a certain point about that. And in turn makes you think.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's challenging in the way that like a Lars von Trier movie is challenging, but it's definitely, you have to keep up with the movie and what it's trying to do.
Emotional response.
Yes.
It challenges your emotional response.
Yes, that's what I mean.
To the material provided.
Right.
Expect the unexpected, as they say.
Yes.
Which is a contradiction. So, Hotshot, what's it like to kill a man?
Have you ever been so overcome with guilt that it weighs heavy on your soul and you know it's going to eat away at you for the rest of your life? Well, it was nothing like that.
What? Oh my! It's Milwaukee's real-life superhero, the Watchman.
I was out patrolling the neighborhood and I just heard two very loud people talking about movies. Mind if I join you?
Here comes the Watchman. He is a real-life superhero keeping his eye on Milwaukee.
The most important piece of equipment I carry on me is my cell phone. If I need to call police, call 911, that's what I'm going to do first.
So we're here with Milwaukee's real-life superhero, the Watchman. Thanks for stopping by, Watchman.
Well, I'm glad I could make it.
You were out patrolling the neighborhood?
I mean, that's what I do. I patrol neighborhoods.
Awesome. And you heard us talking about movies, right? Nothing else?
Nothing else?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. So,
So you are a real-life superhero.
That's the popular term for it, is real-life superhero. It was, I guess, coined by the media.
Real-life superheroes, as you see here, is a growing movement. Get this, there are now an estimated 300 members patrolling cities across the country.
No, I kind of like the superhero aspect of it. Not that I'm have superpowers or anything like that, but kind of setting out to live up to those ideals that we get from comic book superheroes, movie superheroes.
Take us through like a typical night, like a typical patrol night, or what you do.
Typical patrol night is actually really boring. I mean, what I do is basically walking around, but I'm also keeping my eyes, my ears open, and paying attention to what's going on around. People say, well, what happens if you see something? Are you gonna kick somebody's ass, or what are you gonna do? First thing I'm going to do, if there's time to do it, is I'm going to call the right people. I'm going to call 911, get medical professionals out to somebody that needs some sort of medical attention, whatever the case may be. I have talked to police. I've gone directly to police and talked to them about what I'm doing and everything. And the official reaction is, we're always looking for somebody to be an extra set of eyes and ears, to be a good witness. We don't want anybody to put themselves into danger and risk getting hurt. And that seems to be across the board, sort of the official statement. As long as we're not out there really causing trouble and doing anything illegal, we're good. They're kind of happy that there's somebody that cares enough to spend some time and doing what they need to do.
So, like, hypothetical situation. You kind of walk into a house, right? And people are talking about movies. While you're talking about movies, you happen to notice that they may or may not have murdered someone behind you, right in front of you, actually. What would you do, hypothetically?
This is hypothetical, of course.
They may or may not have shot someone.
Multiple times in the chest with a gun.
And you'd be trying to hide the body. Would you beat them with that flashlight, or?
I would call the police. I mean, the person's already dead, right? I'm not going to be able to save them.
No, yeah, they've been dead for, what is it, an hour?
At least an hour,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Hypothetically.
If they're dead, there's nothing I can do. It would be more call the police, report it.
What if the person that was shot was really bad at what they were doing?
They were like a really bad movie host, movie review host.
Yeah.
They deserve to die. Would you pretend not to notice the body and leave quietly, or would you beat them?
Hey, is that,
Oh no.
That's Little Monsters with Fred Savage.
Check it out. Go ahead. Check it out. Go ahead.
That's the real crime. By the way, I've already called the police about that dead body. Bang.